Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with another 2-page layout. This one I am using the April Not Just for Boys kit called Electric. And this month I did decide to buy the add-on paper pack as well as the cardstock. I like to, when I do 2-page layouts, which are the majority of what I do like to kind of keep sometimes the same background paper, and so that's kind of why I added on. I liked what I saw from these papers in the kit, and so I did decide to add the extra on so I could, have the same background for a 2-page layout. So what I'm doing here, it came with this really cute cut file. It has, the arrow and then these three squares, boxes at the bottom. And so what I did, I actually used my square punch and cut out some squares of some of the papers to back this cut file with. As you can see, the squares are too large, so I do end up trimming them, but it was just the easiest way, to be honest, using the punch instead of like tracing it and cutting it out. I just punched out the square and then trimmed off the excess. So before I had started, I was trying to figure out kind of what to do with this cut file. It is a little bit different than what I'm used to. And I knew I wanted to kind of add something to the squares. And in the kit, it came with these really cute, really deep navy letters, alphas. And so I am going to add that to the squares to kind of spruce them up a little bit more. As you can see, I am using these two pictures from a fishing, of my youngest fishing. One thing I have enjoyed about these kits, it's making me kind of think outside of the box. If you were to look at the majority of my scrapbook layouts, they are very much themed based on what is happening in the pictures. So in the past with this, I would use fishing paper, fishing embellishments, fishing this, fishing that. And so it's definitely helped me kind of spread my wings, so to speak, and kind of, like I said, think outside the box. So what I'm going to do is use the papers and kind of layer a lot behind the photo. I have this issue I was thinking about actually this morning, that for layering, to me, it's hard for me to layer so much because I know it's not a waste of paper, but to me, it almost feels like a waste of paper. I love a good 12 by 12 piece of paper. It's almost easier for me to layer with like the 6 by 6, the 6 by 8 papers than it is for me to layer with a 12 by 12 piece of paper. Fortunately, like I said, I had bought an additional paper pack. And so I felt better about cutting into it because of that. So what I did, I really tried to utilize where I cut out the square so I wasn't wasting the paper. Because like I said, I am kind of a hoarder. So you can see that I am using the same papers that I backed the cut file with, and I am distressing the edges. So that top one, I do end up trimming it off, and I think I just used those three papers, the same three that I backed the cut file with. So it's just a matter of getting it down on the layout then, and just kind of figuring out, measuring, making sure I had it kind of where I wanted it. And I did kind of want them to overlap and whatnot. And then the back of that green paper is a really deep yellow floral. And so I kind of liked that. So I did rip it a little bit so you could see just a tad. So here are those alphas I was telling you about. So I wanted to title it The Good Life. And so what I did beforehand, I just used my T-square. I wanted to make sure that the alphas were small enough that the words good and life would fit in the boxes. And sure enough, they were. So that is kind of why I did it ahead of time, just to make sure that, I don't know, you get these ideas in your head, and I'd hate to kind of try to start videotaping and it not work. So um, that is kind of how I spruce up the bottom. Like I said, it is a really deep navy. And some of the embellishments that came with it are uh, black and white. So they had these really fun vellum stamps that came with the kit. And so I had gone through ahead of time and kind of picked out some of the more outdoorsy one. There was one that had a fish and another one that had a seashell. So I picked those out. And then it came with, I guess I'll call those labels from Freckled Fawn, sorry. So I used one as a base, and then it also came with some chipboard pieces from Freckled Fawn. Wow, that is hard for me to say. And this one said this was fantastic. So I just layered those two pieces, and then I took that stamp, and because it is vellum, it's somewhat see-through, and so I actually backed that fish one with one of those labels that came with the kit. And I just feel like it makes the image on that vellum piece stand out a little bit more. And so I did add that to the top right, and then added another chipboard piece that says these are the days. And then it came with some Bow Bunny kind of, I'll call them enamel dots. They're almost more like pearl than an enamel dot, but I added those to each of the top clusters. And then I moved on to page 2. So this trip I actually did not go on. So these pictures are all from my husband. So he did a great job capturing this trip. Some of them I had to save off of Snapchat. So the one on the far right is one of those. So you could see that at the bottom, if you look real closely, it said chat. And so I had to cut that off. This here is actually from the middle of that yellow piece that I really like. So I decided to use the same papers from, page 1, because yes, I'm a little bit of a hoarder and I didn't want to cut into the rest of the papers in the kit. So I am going to distress all the edges of this one as well. I did distress the edge of the circle because I did freehand it, and it's not always the best when I freehand. So distressing kind of helps hide that a little bit. So now I'm going to use just a smaller strip of the green, and again, just layer some more and kind of try to figure out, I didn't want it to go all the way across the page, so I had to figure out where I wanted it to end and distress some more. I will link this distressing tool. It's a Sizzix distressing tool, and it's really kind of neat. It has different attachments on it. So one is kind of like I call it a scalpel because I'm a nurse and that's just what I think of. So it has like a cutting blade that you can add on it and whatnot. And I just did kind of recently get it. So if you are in search of a distressing tool, I'll have a link down below if you want to take a look at that. And then I decided to double back these photos as well, and instead of using the yellow, because I do have the yellow circle there, I decided to use this really nice light blue instead, so the pictures would pop up off that yellow a little bit more. And I honestly, I think I'm gonna have to start getting the cardstock for all of the kits from here on out. I just like not having to search for, the colors to back the photos and whatnot. So I think that's something I'm going to have to end up doing. So there is kind of the base page. And then it was, again, just trying to figure out how to embellish. So I grabbed one of those labels. I am going to end up dating it and maybe a little bit of journaling on that layout or on that label. We'll see what I end up doing. I don't know if I have more of this trip for my youngest. I'll have to check that, and that I think would determine if I journal a lot or just date it and whatnot. So the chipboard that came with the kit had some really good sayings, and so I end up adding 3 of them to the bottom right. and I did not do them straight. I kind of had them follow the same angle as the photo. And then I pulled up those, I'm just going to call them enamel dots, to add that love this chipboard piece to the label there. And then I just wanted to add something kind of to the top. And I remembered, I had that other vellum stamp, and so I added that. But then I did remember that I wanted to try something. So in the pack of stamps, they came with some plain vellum ones right there. I grabbed one of my outdoorsy stamp sets that I have had for a while now. It did not come with a kit, but I wanted to try and see if I could kind of make my own stamp. And so I had this, it says gone fishing, and then the fish. So I used black soot, the distress oxide, and added that. And then the stamp set had a couple of different lures, bobbers, and so I decided to try this gray color, and I don't remember what color gray it is. It did not show up like I was hoping it would. You can't really see it, and I apologize that it is so low that you can't really see what I'm doing right now, but I'm glad that you could see the gone fishing. It did take a little bit of time to dry, but otherwise it worked out really nice, and I think that it'll be fun for future layouts to do, colorful stamps and whatnot. So I decided just to add that to the top there and just layer the other one under it. For the seashell one, I used my ATG gun, and for this one I used my tacky glue, and I don't believe you can see it when you look at it. You can't see the tape or the glue from behind it. So that is going to finish off this layout. I hope you enjoyed. I will link Not Just for Boys Kit Club down below. If you see what you like, definitely check them out, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.